Unmuted. Islam, can you hear me, sis?
Clear as the bell. Peace and love.
Gratitude, peace and love. Islam, 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 Moorish America. Want to rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God, Allah, Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. Let us come forth with our ancient Comedian Adept Moorish American prayer. And as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as we open up the way. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Ya Allah abnu heru makuneteru, Ya Allah abhet heru, Ya Allah ma'at heru, Ya Allah hutep heru, Ya Allah heru, Ya Allah ma'at herkuti, Ya Allah ahwajeta juti, Ya Allah per im tutek per im heru, Ya Allah bamaduti, al hajit shepis rayab to Ali. Amen. Halayas, halayas, halayas. And that is the same Moorish kin in transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. Islam Moorish kin. And now we come forth before you with the divine constitution of Moorish America, salvation, our God, unity, the seven supreme constitutional acts of law. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the Triune Acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He had wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will. Shemotepu Moorish King.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Gratitude to our National Assistant Grand Chief for opening up the way according to law. I am the National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Saanati Nuhetu El, and I rise giving perfect praises to our Father God Allah and the highest honors to our Holy Prophet El-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. Honors to our theocratic Moorish American government, honors to all of Act 1, honors to our Royal Consul, honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag, the Moorish flag. And honors to our divine Constitution and bylaws. Honors to all of you for being here in our Moorish Perspective class. Islam, Islam, Islam. Chapter 48. Holy Instructions of Unity. The gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to everyone his portion, and what measure seemeth good unto himself. Hath He endowed thee with wisdom? Hath He enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicated to the ignorant for their instructions, communicated to the wise for thy own improvement. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubteth often and changes his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things, but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their inherent and pertinence, and to pity their absurdities. Yet be not puffed up in thy own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. The wise man feeleth his imperfections, and he is humbled. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shadow stream of his own mind, and is pleased with the pebbles which he hath at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. He boasteth of attainments in things that are of no worth, but where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he hath no understanding. Even in the path of wisdom, he fooleth after folly, and shame and disappointment are the reward of his labor. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge, the improvement of the arts in his delight, and their utility to the public crowned with honor. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounteth as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. Islam, Islam, Islam. Today is July 8th, 2023, and welcome to another Moorish Perspectives class sponsored by our Moorish American government. Our host instructor is our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shetta Wamenti of Moheji Shepsewell, with our subject matter coming out of our chapter of the week, chapter 48, on the instruction of unity. Ayah 2. Hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Hath he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicated to the ignorant for their own instruction, communicated to the wise for their own improvement. Gratitude to our National Assistant Grand Chief for opening up the way according to law, and gratitude to the National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Saad Natinui Hedgeru L, for taking registration and also reading the chapter of the week. Moorish can kindly check your emails and also keep your pens and papers on hand. At this time, we'll call to the floor our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shetta Wamenti of Moheji Shepsewell. Islam, Grandman.
Islamism. Can you hear me, sister?
Clear as a bell. Peace and love.
Gratitude. Praise be to Allah. Peace and love. Islam, 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 Moorish America. Having already risen, giving praises to the great God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. We continue to rise in ascension into the divinity where wisdom speak from on high, from the highest plane of spirit life. Again, we give honors to our holy prophet, and as we have given praises to the great God Allah within the consciousness of man himself. And this is what we are dealing with in this special Moorish Perspectives tonight, as it relates to the holy instructions of unity. Because unity starts within oneself, within the consciousness of the self, and then it is spread abroad, so to speak. And so we are drawing from a powerful ayat where we see that it is the great God Allah who hath endowed thee with wisdom. You see, hath he endowed thee with wisdom? This is the question that is asked. Hath he enlightened thy mind, my mind, your mind, our mind, so to speak, with the knowledge of the truth? So all of us have the obligation to communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction, and communicate it to the wise for their own improvement. And this is the grand key, Moorish kin, when it comes to dealing with our purpose. In fact, this coincides with the sixth act, actually. The sixth act when we deal with teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. And so this opens up the gateway of knowledge from many aspects, that which will prepare one when we deal with the soul actions and having the ability to think, will, reason, understanding, and remember. And also when we go into the aspects of dealing with knowing our lineage, knowing the origin from whence we come, and why it is necessary for us to honor our mother and our father, our ancient mother and father, divine mother and father, Ish and Isha. And so all of this has to do with being linked up with the same divinity from whence wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. And so that's what we want to deal with tonight. Because if we comprehend this in the unity between these two degrees, so to speak, when we deal with what we call a Moorish divine and national movement, then surely we would know the work that we have been called to do. And the great God Allah is the one that has been giving us gifts of his understanding from his treasures, that we may bring forth our special measures. In this special level, all of the wisdom of the great God Allah is good. None is more elevated or lesser than the other information. And if we perceive it this way, then this is our own fault when we deal with what we call the clearless aspects of we can say clearest, aspects of human knowledge, so to speak. That cause us to be able to see things on the plane of duality as opposed to being able to see the unity. Because when we see that is special unity, then we know the source that we're drawing from. So it's going to be a grand measure that we have to bring forth to our Moorish kin. Want to give honors to the family checking in, the brother Yaqub El Hamid Gamma Bay, brother Noble Brian, Yaqub El, give honors to your family. We give honors to Mari Bontus and Charles Warrell and all of those whom are yet to come. And we look forward to the participation of those who are interested in tapping into their divinity. So as we move forth with this special class in Moorish perspectives, it's a powerful drawing to have the ability to think, to will, reason, understand, and remember who made you. Because we could have been easily in the position that the animal is in, so to speak, to where they just exist and they are basically moving as creatures of habit, so to speak, not really having any rationality, even though we do see some animals now being trained now to a certain degree that will make you think that they got the same type of consciousness that we have. So this is telling us something about the human being. If the animals are catching up with us, through being trained in a particular way, then this means we must be falling in our vibration, because we should be light years ahead, of any creature that we call, animals, so to speak. There's nothing wrong with an animal being an animal, because it's the nature of an animal to be an animal. But if we are in the highest state of consciousness, if we are the ones who are called to be the caretakers, are the governors of the plane of soul and the plane of things made manifest, you see, then we should most definitely again be light years ahead when it comes to evolving in our consciousness. We should never be stuck in loop mode, dealing with the same problems and looking for the same solution. Because if we are in loop mode, dealing with the same problems and looking for the same solutions, then this shows that there is no growth. There is no evolving, so to speak. And even in the Arabic and the Grand Quran, the great God Allah has an attribute that's called Al-Rab, where he fosters man, and this is dealing with humanity in general, because there's actually an Arabic word that deals with man that has nothing to do with gender at all, so to speak. So, in other words, that he has fostered one in the most rudimentary state, from that state all the way up into where one is able to reach a degree of perfection. And all of us have this capacity. All of us have this capability to grow and unfold. That's why you hear us say, as we quote our Moorish Holy Quran, as man unfolds, his God unfolds. And as he unfolds, then he must be what he knows. You see, this is our responsibility to go through the process or initiate the process of that unfoldment. This is why you hear us saying it's in our nature to be God. It's one thing to talk in this particular sense, but another thing to demonstrate this in special measure. You see, God is God all the time. God is not God, at 1 minute and the next minute, God all of a sudden falls into another realm, of existence. God is constantly expressing and unfolding the secrets of his futurity, so to speak. You see? So there are revelations, are things that are constantly being revealed to show the greatness of the existence of the supreme reality that we call God. You see, God is never in a state of retrogression, so to speak, or a state where God, again, is falling in vibration. You see, he is always exemplifying a grand expression. And a lot of time we like to use the expression intelligent design. And I want to go into the essence of this special measure to touch on a few things, before we open up the floor. I want to give honors to our Moorish kin again for checking in, and all of those who are striving to be the highest expression of themselves, because the great God Allah knows the heart. So, as we stated in the ayat that we have come forth from, he had endowed thee with wisdom, right? But it's asking it in a question, hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Right? Hath he enlightened thy mind with knowledge of truth? So again, we have to understand that we teach that wisdom is our gross national product. And we also understand that if he hath enlightened our mind with the knowledge of the truth, well, we are told that man himself is the truth. So he has enlightened your mind with the capability of having a knowledge of yourself, a knowledge of who you are. That's the enlightenment. The greatest degree of enlightenment is you knowing that you are one with the Creator. You are one with the source of divinity. You see, and this is the purpose and the reason why he endowed thee with wisdom in the first place. So now that we know this, then again, it's our duty and obligation to communicate it, so to speak, to the ignorant for their instruction. And the only way that we can do this is that we have the instruction. This is why Prophet Noble Ali brought what we call holy instructions, divine instructions. You see? And when we say communicate it to the ignorant, a lot of people listen to that special word and the vibration, and they lose their mind because they think, oh, this person called me. No, it basically has to do with one ignoring what it is that you bring forth when it comes to the truth. You see, it's like that valley of dry bones. So again, when we deal with those who ignore the truth, just because they ignore the truth, don't mean that you cease communicating it to them. It's your duty to communicate the truth, and basically give the insight, and therefore their blood is not on your hand. You see? Also, communicating it to the wise for your own improvement. This means those who have already attained to the degrees of wisdom, so that you may dialogue with those, that you may share and trade this divine instruction between each other, so to speak. And this causes you to continue to grow and become improved in your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So This is a grand key when we look at this special ayat here. You know, I want to go into some grand degrees of unfoldment, because just as our Moorish Holy Quran has told us this, you know, we will find similar teachings in many other books of truth, and we honor all books of truth, you know, that are here for the instruction of man and his upliftment, and the upliftment of fallen humanity. Even in the Piscean records, one was told, you know, to search all, you know, things, rightly dividing the truth. Workmen that need not be ashamed before the Lord. That's what they said, right? You know, and also going into the aspect that all scripture is profitable for doctrine, you know, reproof, correction, you know, and everything else to bring you into some understanding, right? And we can go on and on, but we know in the same breath, when we go into the Grand Quran, you know, there's a powerful expression that's actually been brought forth in relation to dealing with man himself when it comes to him unfolding in his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding there as well. And though they may all be using a different way of expressing this, they are all expressing the same sentiment when it comes to where the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of man come from, the importance of seeking it. You know, we hear seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, and, you know, all these are special measures. In the Grand Quran, in Surah 2, Ayat 29, you know, there's a drawing where they say in the Arabiya, Huwa lazi kalaka lakum mafil ardi jama'in sumastawa ilas sama'i fasu wahunna sab samawat wa huwa bukuli shay'in alim. And in that special expression, it basically is stating that it is he, meaning the great God Allah, who created for you all things that are on earth, and moreover his design comprehend the heavens, for he gave order and perfection to the seven firmaments, and of all things he have perfect knowledge. So if we understand that the great God has created for us all things that are on the earth, you see, and in some aspects it'll say in the earth, depending on who translate, you know. And I like the aspect of dealing with in the earth, because this gives us the ability to reflect upon ourselves when we deal with this earthly body, this earthbound body. You see, all of your potentials that you have to be able to unfold comes from the Khalifa that he had planted a place within the earth. This go back to chapter 1, you know, in our Moorish Holy Quran, when we talk about that seed, you see, that has those special potencies at its essence, and basically is as perfect as its mother. You know, this is the true source of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding within us, in a whole bunch, or rather a multitude of other attributes or qualities, however we would like to look at it. But it states again, moreover, his design comprehended the heavens. So we know again that this is dealing with intelligence. We know that this is dealing with an expression of what we call macro and microcosmic expression, so to speak. And from the macrocosmic expression, we can go into the realm of what we call spirit man. The microcosm is the physical body in which the spirit man resides. This is just one of the forms that macrocosmic man has taken upon in the form, or the axis mundi, as some people like to refer to it as. But this is special design that comprehended the heavens, his design, the great God Allah's design, this is the same design referred to when we talk about comprehending the heavens as creative fate, as it's referenced in chapter 1. And this is where it states that he gave to man a soul that he may function upon the plane of soul, a body of flesh to function upon the plane of things made manifest. So no matter what we say, spirit man is present in this special state. Being a spirit and a part of the great God Allah. Spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. Or as it states in the Arabiya, Ru'Allah. He said, I'm a place, I'm going to create man. I'm going to place a portion of myself in him. Surah 15, ayat 26 in the Grand Quran, right? So if he said he will place a portion of himself within man, this is a part of that design that comprehend the heavens. The heavens represent our state of mind. The heavens represent our state of consciousness. So there's no way that we can lack wisdom, because we come forth from wisdom fearlessly and marvelously, so to speak, we are made. So it goes on to say, for he gave order and perfection to the 7 firmaments, and of all things, and he have perfect knowledge. And just as you have those 7 firmaments in the macrocosm, there are 7 firmaments in the microcosm. And we know we refer to these, as chakra points. In science, they refer to them as ganglionic centers. In symbology, in the book of Revelation, you hear them talking about the 7 lampstands, or 7 candles, or candlesticks. Anywhere you see it, we can go into those special aspects from an esoteric standpoint. But more overall, it is the God within you that has the ability to rise into the highest realm of divinity. And that's why the word you will find used in the Grand Quran, they say istawa. After he created the 7 heavens and the earth, he rose, istawa. He established his throne and he rose above his throne. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali told the Moors he was going to take them up above the sun, moon, and stars around the almighty throne of Allah. And we know this is above the neck, within our own consciousness. That's what a true seat of divinity is. And when we come into that special knowledge and really have divine insight as to relating to this knowledge, then we will be able to govern ourselves. We will be able to govern ourselves and everything else outside of the self as well. We have come equipped with this. Not only have we become those who are here in this new era and time that are equipped with this, but Prophet Noble Drew Ali came to remind us. That's why he said he brought us everything that it takes to save us as a nation. Because we have the mechanics, of everything within this apparatus, so to speak. Whether we're dealing with the government in and of itself, or we're dealing with the government of self-mastery. And that's what we're getting at, right? It's a powerful measure if we're able to comprehend our own divinity and realize, the grand pilgrimage that we came through, so to speak, to come into the plane of things made manifest, coming from a thought of purity. Because you hear us say all the time, the great God Allah don't have dirty thoughts. So when he manifested the love thought, that was us on our journey, coming to manifest as a living expression, as an attribute. And the same can be said about truth, peace, freedom, justice, and our most magnanimous host of other attributes and characteristics, so to speak, that we have yet to mention. In ancient Kemet, they referred to these as the Neteru. So all of these special qualities always express themselves through the human being. The human being just so happened to be what we call the vessel through which these special attributes function. And thrice blessed are those who are in full knowledge of this special fact, because then we understand why it is that the great God don't die. His life is extended through our life. Not that he needs to extend it through our lives, but as long as we live, as long as we bring forth seeds from our loins, brothers, from your womb, sisters, long as we demonstrate this, the great God Allah is ever present. You see, ever expressing different qualities, different attributes to nations to come. And this actually elevates through paradigm shifts, through cycle ages. We know that at the turn of the time and at every milestone in the journey of the race, one becomes more elevated, one becomes more exalted, one continues to unfold into that divinity. And this is what the great God Allah has placed in us. When I was speaking earlier, of the mechanics of our being and how they work. And this is what we are trying to get to know when we say know thyself. Some people think that's just a philosophical statement that sounds slick, but we are here to truly know ourselves and know of our own divinity. And once we come into that special divinity, this is where we become the true governors of the heaven and the earth. The heavens being your mind, your ability to exercise, thinking, willing, reason, understanding, and remembrance, and also being able to govern this earthbound body. That's what it means to be Lord of the plane of soul and Lord of the plane of things made manifest, in the most simplistic way of expressing it, right? We're talking about unity. When we deal with the holy instruction of unity, and I was speaking of the Arabiya earlier, and we gave a few words such as Rob, but there's another word that deals with ahad. In fact, it's a whole surah in the Grand Quran where they say, Kul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. He is Allah, the one and only, the eternal, besotted of all. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there's none comparable unto him. When it goes into the actual expressions of the physical, he don't beget because you are the one that's doing the beget. You see, you are the one who begetteth. You see, he uses you as the vessel to beget. But when we go into this special aspect, there's a drawing that deals with the word ahad. And it's in Surah 2, Ayat 27. And it speaks of a covenant. And it says, ahad in itself meaning oneness. That's what ahad actually means, oneness. You know about the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nations, right? There are many covenants that the great God Allah has made with humanity. Unfortunately, among men, most of the time they are utilizing those covenants, to create disunion. We've seen for years how those who claim to be Hebrews, Israelites, Jews, and so forth and so on, they take their covenant as the only covenant, and every other covenant as not even paying attention to it. But when you deal with the very essence of what a covenant is always dealing with unity between man and the Creator, or man and man. We have covenants on all levels. You know, whether we deal with the covenant between ourselves and the Creator, ourselves and the people that we interact with. Marriage covenants, covenants of friendship, covenants of nationhood, and so forth and so on. But at the root of the covenant is always leading back to oneness. So in this particular measure, we learn that a oneness, is a covenant, and the covenant has to do with a mention that deals with the human beings and their moral obligation, you know, to use their inborn faculties. And those are the mechanics that I'm talking about. That's what we're getting at when we talk about the gifts of understanding being the treasures of the great God Allah, for example, right? But we understand that those treasures have to do with what the great God Allah has endowed us with. So anyway, and by the way, a lot of this definition here is coming out of our dictionary of the exegesis of the Holy Quran too, by the way, page 338. And it says that the omission of any reference to a particular covenant in this verse suggests that the covenant stands for something that is rooted in human nature. So we're not just talking about something that's written on a piece of paper, on rolls or scrolls somewhere, but it is rooted in your nature. In fact, in Surah 7 ayats, I want to say 172 and 73, it goes into the aspects. It's called Al-Araf, the Surah of the Heights. But it talks about how the great God Allah, before he created man, he had already, you know, brought forth man to where man would have to honor this covenant, you know, of everything that had to do with creative fate, or some people like to call predestiny, determination. So we already know by our nature who made us. We just had to be asked the question again when we fell from that state of consciousness. And so Prophet Noble Drew Ali came to us and he said, well, who made you? Because it even states in some of the traditions of the texts of even Orthodox Islam that the greatest sin of Adam is that he fell. In the Piscean records, they call it a fall from grace. You see, in the Grand Quran, they say, well, we created man, you know, basically being in the highest of the heights, but yet he fell into the lowest of the low. He debased himself. In chapter 1 of our Moorish Holy Quran, this is touched upon when it tells us that man sought to gratify his lower self. But it is at our nature to acknowledge that covenant that was already there from the beginning. And this special covenant was right there in connection to that in which he endowed us with wisdom. You see, the enlightenment, that's the total package that we come with. This ain't something that we just have to learn by reading things as we come here, but we are being reminded that these things are already in us. And this is the level that we have to begin to think from. So once we understand they're in us, then we understand just be love, just be truth, just be peace, freedom, and justice. You don't have to go into the aspects of talking about learning how to do it when you understand that you are already it. You know, but this is what I was talking about when I spoke of the loop mode syndrome earlier. You know, we have been tricked to think that we were just this body of flesh. We have been tricked to think, you know, that everything that we are here to strive for solely has to do with the plane of things made manifest. And most people have bought into the narrative. Even those who are moving in the path of wisdom, still being enslaved by blindness and folly. You see, this is dealing with humanity as a whole, is what we're getting at. Like we say in the chapter, what we know everything but our own ignorance, right? It went on to say in reference to dealing with this covenant, right? Because we're dealing with the unity, we're talking about oneness, that human nature bears witness to the existence of the Creator And this is referred to in 229. I quoted that earlier when I was talking about the seven heavens and, moreover, his design comprehend the heavens and the earth. That design is connected to that same covenant of oneness. This is intelligence. This is not something that just happened by chance like the average scientist would tell you it is. A cause without evidence of what a cause came from. No, everything that is expressed has a meaning. So it says, as we go on, just dealing with that ayat 2 and 29 in the surah, the word Sabah, Samawat, for those who are already familiar with it, they know the word Sabah in Arabic means seven. And Samawat means heaven. So you're talking about the seven heavens, right? We know the word Sabah also in the ancient Kemetic language deal with the realm of the stars, but it also deals with what we call the Saba'it, what wisdom instruction, so to speak. That's what they call them in ancient Kemet. You see? But anyway, it goes on in this special breakdown. It says it is an idiomatic expression which, when literally translated, means seven heavens, Sabah Samawat. As a part of the Arabic idioms, the number seven is used to express a concept like several, many, or several or many, and not usually an exact number seven. And it states, Lisan Taj, it says, hence seven heavens signify many heavens. The verse presented uses the plural form of heaven to express different aspects of the cosmic creation. See, this is why I talk about as it is below, or as it is above, so it is below, as it is within, so it is without. Each ether of the native plane has its own heavens, unbeknownst to us, so to speak. Even though each ether in the native planes that we deal with, we know that there are seven in themselves, but within each of the seven, there are manifests of that same perfection of seven heavens that governs those ethers. That's just the way that it is rooted within the nature of the divinity. This is all a part of the covenant. It ain't strange that we have a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations, and this is chapter 25. 2 and 5 is 7. But anyway, it states the verse presented thus uses the plural form of heaven to express different aspects of the cosmic creation. Surah 66, ayahs 3 through 5. And the plural form has different significance than the singular form. Seven heavens can signify seven types of stars or many types of stars, seven dimensions, or seven layers of rolled universes. And then it gives ayat supporting that surah, 2 ayat 29, 23 ayat 86, 39 ayat 67, 65 ayat 12, and 71 ayat 15. The orbit of a planet is also called its heaven. Now that's powerful. Thus, the phrase expresses many cosmic aspects of their perfection. The orbit of a planet is called its heaven. Now let's think about that. When we look at the planetary orbit, and we know that there are orbits when we deal with all of the planets above, so to speak, that are on an orbit, in an orbital cycle, so to speak. Well, what about you? You, again, in your consciousness, represent a heaven in orbit around the divinity of the supreme reality that we call God. I just wanted to add that. There's another measure in here where it went further, and it goes into Surah 2 ayat 30. Because everything that we said thus far about the great God Allah creating the heavens and the earth, and moreover, his design comprehends the heaven and earth. We talked about the macrocosmic man, spirit man. We talked about the Khalifa being put in the earth. Now we can see why in Surah 2, it speaks of the great God Allah placing that caliph in the earth, and he said he taught him the nature of all things. And when you say the nature, like a lot of people say names if they're dealing with the Piscean records, these names will be in reference to the attributes. So he taught man the attributes of everything in creation. Not only that which is inside of himself, the mechanics, those inborn qualities and inborn capabilities, but also the nature of those things that are outside of the heavens, his consciousness within the earth. In other words, this is how, again, one becomes the Lord of the plane of soul, Lord plane things made manifest, because man in his true knowledge of self knows himself, knows his God, and knows everything in creation, and knows how to extract from those things in creation that which will be beneficial to himself when it comes to his progress, when it comes to his ability to elevate. You see? So it's one thing to know and have the nature, but another thing to be able to tap into the insight and the essence, and to be able to extract and draw forth the blessings, so to speak, from having this special knowledge. Because knowledge means to know, and to know means to apply. We say that all the time, and that's why we say, our people are destroyed, not for a lack of knowledge, but a lack of knowledge of the truth, so to speak. And so once we come into a knowledge of the truth, that means that the knowledge that we had, it becomes a true reality. It moves beyond theory. Once we are able to extract those things from the essence and make it a fact, make it a working knowledge, make it something that can actually become tangible, so to speak. This is wisdom. The great God Allah has endowed us, our minds, our consciousness with wisdom. We know the brain, within the brain is the soul. Within the soul is the actions of the soul. And within the actions of the soul is what we call the ability to exercise our wisdom from the highest plane of spirit life. Now, some of us may think of the highest plane of spirit life and we go to thinking about a spooky realm outside of us. But the highest plane of spirit life has to do with our divinity and indwelling consciousness of those heavens above the neck. The seventh heaven, to be exact. And we know that this becomes a degree when you go into the realm of the adept concept. We call it propheta. This is what our holy prophet was able to obtain. And he told us that if we imitated him, then we would share power with him. In other words, the same power that he was able to exercise as a result of obtaining the heights that he obtained, we too would be able to share in that same power if we imitated him. If we tried to be like him. We got some Moors, that criticize you trying to be like the prophet. Look at him trying to dress like the prophet. Look at him trying to act like they think they more than, you supposed to be trying to be like the prophet. Who else you gonna be? A Negro? A black man? A colored man? If you don't want me to be like the prophet, or you don't want yourself to be like the prophet, then what you want our people to be? I'll wait. So as we move on, right? It's a grand drawing. They use the word kala in the Grand Quran, and it actually has to do with the use of figurative speech describing an event, a state of affairs without there being any actual speech or dialogue in human language. So when you hear them saying that the great God Allah spoke to man, or we say Allah speaks to man through man, he's not speaking in a carnal language. He's not demonstrating these holy instructions, in a bastardized English language. He's demonstrating it on a level of vibration. And you got to be able to tune into the frequency of that vibration. You see? It also say this linguistic device may allow even inanimate objects to speak as in the following expression. When the tank was full, it said stop. It may also be used to convey that which is not in spoken words, but in motions or actions or situations in which logical argument is to be presented. Her two eyes said, we listen and we obey. So it says these examples of Arabic idiom show any translation of this word into a language other than Arabic must be done according to the context and the subject matter. Kala, and this also shows me a root connection to the word kalam, which actually deals with pen. I'm just adding this in because it's coming to me now. Because it said he taught man with the pen and speech and intelligence, in fact, in the Grand Quran. But it said this and other indicated verses is not an actual conversation between Allah and the angels and Iblis, but an indication of the state of affairs which is to be brought into execution. Kala is not used here in the same sense as takalama. See, they use the word kalam that I was talking about. That means discourse, in the words kala, fala, zaraba are very close to each other in their meanings and can often be substituted for one another depending upon the situation. For example, in Surah 4, Ayat 34, the verb drazaba, zaraba, is used in connection with disobedient women who could be replaced by kala, akul. On the other hand, stand for the command as in chapters. And we like the way that one put this in special measure, that where one take these things literal, that they are not literal. And that's why you have people doing a lot of the wrong things. But also it went on, it says the usual translation of the word Malak, it says actually is angels. Now we know an angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. You see? So this is what spirit man actually demonstrates when he come into the flesh. Spirit man is a thought of Allah, right? So when spirit man manifests in the flesh, spirit man manifests as angelic form. This is why when you seen Jabril being spoke of in the Bible, the Piscean, he came as a man. This is why you see when angels are spoken of in the Grand Quran, they come as men. You see? And this ain't an aspect of saying there's a limitation dealing with gender, because there are also mentions of prophetess, you see, in the scriptures. You know, women that prophesied. Well, they was demonstrating spirit too. They was demonstrating, you know, that angelicism too. They just don't talk about it that much. I mean, if you go into Kemet, you'll find that the goddess being on the manifest, ruling through co-regency with man and so forth and so on. Even acting as Ra, a Re, who many people see as a masculine deity. There were times that Offset was tapping into that demonstration. Heru. But that's a whole nother measure. But anyway, it goes on dealing with this word Malak. It states they are part of a divine system through which Allah executes his will. See? That's why it's not in the nature of an angel to disobey the great God Allah. If an angel is the thought of Allah manifested in the flesh, don't you think his thoughts going to obey his wishes? When you think, for example, all you got to do is use your logic. When you think and you want to bring a thing into existence, you got your mind made up, ain't nothing that nobody can do to sway that thought. You're going to hold that thought. So you already know when the great God Allah laid a thought down as a law, that thought going to do what it's supposed to do. That's why it's not in the nature of an angel to disobey the great God Allah. That's why we tell you that we're not merely submitting to the will of Allah, that we are the will of Allah. Because he endowed us with that wisdom, and through that enlightenment that he has given us in the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we can demonstrate that. And we can communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. We can communicate it to the wise for their own improvement. Islam and your own improvement as you engage in trading that wisdom and instruction between each other, as they call it, the Sabbat teachings in Kemet. So again, it says Malak, it says part of the divine system through which Allah executes his will and command. Amra, the word command is Amra. A lot of people say, well, since that's linked to the word Amir, then, you know, we can see that the Europeans stole that word and came up with the concept of Commander-in-Chief, America, and, you know, all that type of stuff. That's a whole nother measure, though. But it says both in worlds of particles and non-particles, right? So the will of the great God Allah is executed in the realm of particles and non-particles. In other words, in the plane of soul and plane of things made manifest. So it says, we may imagine them as carriers and executors of divine command. These are the thoughts of Allah. So if he is given a divine command of, I want some love to be manifested in the nation, then he gonna send a messenger. He gonna send a vessel, again, to manifest the love, the truth, peace, freedom, honor, justice, whatever it is that he wants. This is according to divine command. That's why when you disobey your messenger, your prophet, your divine warner, you are disobeying the great God Allah. He say one day he gonna raise up a witness, a shahid, so to speak, from every nation of people, and none of them will be able to have any excuse. This is what he say now. And that's why they say they take the shahada. You know, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and then his prophet is his prophet, no matter who that prophet may be, to whatever nation that prophet come to. Shahada. You bear witness. You see? But it says, we may imagine them as carriers and executors of divine commands. They are message bearers and bringers of divine revelation. And they descend upon the faithful, giving them joyful news. And this is Surah 41, Ayat 30. It says, in the physical world, they are the medium that forms a link between the chain of the laws of nature. And in the spirit world, they form a link between Allah and human beings. We're going to say that again. In the physical world, they are the medium that forms a link between the chain of the laws in nature. And in the spirit world, they form a link between Allah and human beings. Surah 2, Ayat 97. Do you know what that's referred to in our Moorish Holy Quran? The line that unites divinity and matter. That's that link between the chains and the laws of nature in the spirit world. You see? That's that link between Allah and man, Allah and the human beings. It says the existence of Malak is a medium of revelation that has been recognized by righteous people in all ages and is a part of the Muslim faith. We say Muslim. And they gave Surah 2 Ayat 177, Surah 2 Ayat 285. See, this is what we call a uniting of the Great Quran or the Grand Quran through the Kemetic teachings, you know, and just dealing with unity, because Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us this. Remember, holy instructions of unity. Remember, he spoke of the uniting of the Asiatic nations, uniting of the Asiatic states, uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca. So he's covering all of these special aspects. And if we are short-sighted, then we begin to see through lenses of demarcation. We begin to feel threatened by those who come forth from the other expressive paradigms, because we are shallow in our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in that era. And rather than admitting to our own ignorance, as our present chapter is saying, we would rather hide behind, you know, or be in a state of fear, you know, and we can say downplay, so to speak, what it is that we don't know. And you can't grow like that. You can't learn by downplaying, you know, what it is that you lack in your understanding. If you don't know it, you don't know it. But when you do know it and someone has brought it to you, then it's your duty to be what you know. Not what they know, but you have to be what you know. You see, and this is a sign of wisdom. This is a sign that we are able to tap into the reservoir of our gross national product and be able to extract something from that will be of use and again and benefit to the self. If not, then you basically twiddling your fingers, so to speak, right? It goes on in this exegesis, and this is my last portion of it. We were speaking of Khalifa, because we was talking about placing a ruler in the earth. Some say on the earth, but some say in the earth. This earthbound body. This is where he placed the Khalifa in the earth within us. Remember, that's Lord of the plane of soul, Lord of the plane of thing made manifest. That's spirit, man. This is where the macrocosm has now taken on the form of a physical vessel or a body. This is now that thought of Allah made manifested in the flesh. We know that's the same when it comes to dealing again with spirit man being a thought made manifested in the flesh, a prophet being a thought of Allah made manifested in the flesh, an angel being a thought of Allah made manifested in the flesh. And the same thing has to do with all of the ethers of their native planes. They are thoughts, teeming thoughts of the great God Allah. That's a collective of thoughts. You see, though they are a team of thoughts, they are also one in the expression of the action to be demonstrated, and that is following the command of the one who conjured up the thought. Moreover, his design comprehends the heaven and the earth, your consciousness and your body, if you allow it to be so, right? So Khalifa, it gives an extensive definition here, but listen to this. It says Khalifa is a successor, vicegerent, or someone who inherits, who comes after, or who stands in the place of someone who precedes him. So you second and onlyest to the great God Allah as Khalifa, right? It says, according to Ibn Masud Ibn Abbas, in the Quranic terminology, the Khalifa is the one who judges and rules under Allah's command. We read in verse 38:26, O David, we have made you our vicegerent, our vice regent, our Khalifa in this land. 38:26, that is, we will make you inherit this land and we will make you rule this land. Similarly, we read with reference to those who followed the destroyed generations. So every generation that came behind a generation that preceded and so forth and so on would actually represent a different caliphate, so to speak. But you know, the European removed that out of the way, and that's why we got people running around here using Eurocentric titles to rule in Islamic countries. In fact, I was looking at a situation when I was looking at what happened with Saddam Hussein when he was overthrown. He was actually overthrown by some of his own people that worked against him and lied and say he had weapons of mass destruction. The USA used that to run with it, and that gave them their pretext, you know, to help overthrow him so that they can set themselves up in the power, so to speak, because they didn't like his rulership. So it was Muslim against Muslim that caused that to happen to that particular one, you know. So one is trying to usurp authority. You may not like what somebody demonstrate in a position of authority and rulership, but if the great God Allah has placed them there, the great God Allah has more wisdom than we have. You see, even when it comes to dealing with here in this Moorish American government, if the great God Allah has made, you know, particular individuals the Khalifa, and that's what it is. You know, that don't mean that if one see a particular measure, you're going to overlook it, you know, as it is, and then, all right, we're going to let this demonstration tell. No, that ain't what we're saying. We're saying that we know when the great God Allah has placed one on the manifest, and we hear it. The truth resonates with us. It vibrates with us. Now, some of us may be a little dishonest. based upon where they may be along the way if they're dealing with that earthly vibration. But if you tapped into that divinity, then you plumbing the same line, that special individual, that's your brother and your sister plumbing. You see, you're dealing with that same line of divinity. But anyway, as we go on, it goes on and says, it says, then we made you inherit the land Khalifa. And that is, we made you rule over the land. Surah 10, Ayat 14, about the followers of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. We read, Allah has promised those of you who believe and do deeds of righteousness that he will make them successors. Khalifa, vouchsafe, both with spiritual and temporal leadership. Now, remember what I told you, what Prophet Noble Ali said. He said, if you imitate him, then you will share power with him. Put that in the context of what I just read to you in this exegesis. Allah has promised those of you who believe and do deeds of righteousness, and they use a word that's called mushinun for deeds of righteousness, doers of good. It says that he will make them successors, Khalifa, vouchsafe, with both spiritual and temporal leadership. In other words, leadership in the plane of soul or spirit plane, and leadership in the plane of things made manifest. You see, this is the Khalifa. So Khalifa didn't just stop with the man that he was speaking of creating, Al-Insan. So a lot of people hear the name Adam, but he talked about Insani Kamil as well. Insan al-Kamil is the macrocosmic Adam, also known as Adam Kadman. This is the real Khalifa, spirit man that was placed in the microcosm. This is the one that the microcosm is actually made in the image of. You see? So it says, spiritual and temporal leadership on the earth as he made successors from among their predecessors. So if you are following the voice of divinity, then you automatically receive that torch of divinity, and you pass that torch of divinity on generation upon generation. And this is what we call a milestone in the journey of the race. This is where the paradigm shift takes place at. There should never be a time that a nation has received a divine prophet and a divine warner, and they have not evolved, and they have not elevated, they have not progressed to the next degree of unfoldment. This can only happen if someone is withholding or holding on to the torch. But you can't stop what the great God Allah has ordained and brought to the manifest. And you have to be wise enough to know the time of the paradigm shift. So anyway, it says, therefore, it says the Holy Quran is definitely not referring to the first human being on earth. Adam is the Khalifa, or the vice regent of God, who has power of initiative, choice, and decision, and still whose independent actions are under the control of divine will. That's because the will is linked up with deific will. Boy, I love this exegesis book. It say, it is in the sense that Allah makes Adam the prototype of the human race. Anytime you hear that type of talk, you know it's speaking of, again, going back to spirit man. Inheritor of the earth. The angels, we are told, were aware only of the darker side of the animate creation, namely the shedding of blood, and not the high rank that this new creation is destined to hold on earth. And this is why they asked that question. Will you place there one who will shed blood and make mischief? Because they had already seen what the Homo habilis, as the scientists like to call him, was doing. They seen what the Neanderthal, and as like a lot of people like to call them, prehistoric humans that had not fully evolved in their intelligence. They had not yet been touched by the rod, Rabbi al-Alamin, Lord of all the worlds. The angels seen the way they were acting. That's why they say, you going to place somebody in there that's going to shed some more blood, that's going to kill something. No. The body was already there. He said, I'm going to place, myself, Ru'Allah, I'm going to place spirit, man, myself, man mean thinker, thought of Allah manifest in the flesh. I'm going to place that in the earth, in this man. And when I do that, y'all fall down into obeisance. I want you to prostrate toward me in him. Iblis said, I ain't doing that. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay. I ain't bowing down to that. You see? So the angels had a question, but they still fell down into obeisance, or as they call it, prostration. But Iblis say, I ain't fighting at all. I'm greater than him. Why would I submit to that? We know where that thought lead to. But anyway, it goes on and it says, they were also unaware of the faculties that will be given to the human being. And that's the thing. The faculties were by default in man. If he placed Ru'Allah, if he placed spirit in man, the faculties of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice by default is already in the man. He just has to know and come into the consciousness of those faculties or that divinity that is within himself. We're going to make it make sense, family. So it goes on, right? Listen to what it says. Because we almost done. Again, notice what it says. It says they were also unaware of the faculties that would be given to human being, right? It says, which would enable him to imbue the attributes of Allah. Spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head, however you want to say it. Man is a vessel of the Creator, always had been, as he always had been. Is, was, and evermore to be. Right? So it says, as in the next verse informs us, because of these potentialities, that same potentiality, the potencies that's mentioned in chapter 1 of our Moorish Holy Quran, that's what it's talking about, people. It says Adam could claim to be Allah's Khalifa. I know that which you do not know indicates the ignorance of the angels in this regard, because they were only going off of what it was that they had seen already. But they didn't know the true potential. I talk about this all the time when I speak of the seed that's planted into the earth. You can see me from a distance planting the seed into the earth, but if I had not told you what seed that was I was planting in the earth, you wouldn't know what it is until you sit there and look and watch where I planted that seed and see, okay, I see that's an orange tree, an apple tree, a banana tree coming out of there. But you wouldn't have that knowledge if I hadn't told you. And this is the same state when we deal with the angels. They seen the seed being planted, a man as a seed, a Khalifa being planted in the earth in a vessel that we call a body, but they didn't know what the full manifest would be. So anyway, it says, I know that which you do not know indicates the ignorance and angels in this regard. And the angels are not given the faculties that would allow them to object to Allah's purpose, because Allah's own thoughts would never disobey him. And if we demonstrate in our heights of divinity, our thoughts won't disobey us either. Nothing that we put out there won't come back void to us. That's why I tell people all the time, people that feel like they may be atheist, they don't believe in the Most High, I don't see what they're talking about. Because everything that I've spoken, or everything I have strove for, so to speak, or strived for, the great God Allah has obliged and allowed that demonstration to unfold. So I can't comprehend what they saying, because he has showed me, divinity has showed me time and over again, So I can't comprehend a world in which this divinity is not present, because it is proved to me that it's present. It is proved to me that it's moved through me, that he's speaking through me to, my Moorish kin. My Moorish kin is speaking the same way. He's speaking to them, speaking to me through them, so to speak. So it goes on, and it says the angels are not given the faculties that would allow them to object to Allah's purpose. They are not strong enough to be disobedient. It says, nor can they claim any superiority over Allah's creation. And this is the significance of their reply. We will readily glorify you with your true praise and extol your holiness. In other words, we hear and we obey. And so, like I say, in the closing of this, dealing with the attributes, for those who don't understand attributes, and when we say Islamism, we want to get our people out of the mindset of looking at ism even as a English term. We want to give you the actual term that would attach to the word, and it can be germinated in the same language as the word Islam. Islam is Arabic, but there's also a word that links to these things that deal with the nature of Allah. In fact, it means the nature of Allah, and it's ism, ISM, the same way, but it has a different meaning than the English expression. Ism in the Arabic actually means the nature in all actuality. It has to do with attributes. If you ever heard of the term Al-Asma ul-Husna, the most beautiful names or the most beautiful nature, that word Asma is en route to the word Ism. And so it explains that here. It says Asma. And this is going into where I was talking about the great God Allah teaching, man, the nature of creation. The Bible, they say names, but names and nature are really referring to the same thing, as it's dealing with holy and most beautiful name attributes. But it says that Asma, Surah 2, Ayat 31, the plural form of Ism. Ism is an expression conveying the knowledge of attributes for distinguishing them from others. This verse, Asma, stands for the attributes of the real, living deity that distinguish him from other deities and created objects. Thus, the knowledge of Allah's attributes is the only source to know him as the only creator. He taught Adam his names, meaning that the new creation called Adam, who stands as Allah's vicegerent, his Khalifa, was blessed in contrast to other objects of Allah's creation, with the knowledge of those divine attributes that helped him know his real deity. We talk about linking will with up with deific will, right? These are the potencies. When you hear attributes, potencies, think of it. Attributes that helped him to know his real deity, that deific tie, right? And after knowing him through his attributes, to manifest them in his own character. So that's the sole purpose, family. Not just recite the attributes, not just to merely have a knowledge of the attributes, but to manifest them in your own character. Human beings needed language in order to become civilized and continue progressing. Teaching Adam names is also a reference to the faculty of speech and learning. So once he has the faculty of speech and learning, then he can tap into that knowledge and begin to communicate according, or as we stated earlier, communicate, right? As we have been enlightened or endowed with wisdom and enlightenment and so forth, communicate, these instructions, as we stated, to the ignorant and to the wise for your own improvement. So anyway, it says, the Holy Quran refers to this. He created the human being and taught him the art of intelligent and distinct speech. Surah 55, Ayat 4. And it is said that that asma, that word that's rooted with ism, denotes the human being's faculty of logical definition and conceptual thinking, and capability of learning and acquiring knowledge and reasoning. Allah's attributes are numberless. However, the human being, as symbolized by Adam, is capable of understanding and grasping only those things that are within the scope of the faculties that are given to him. And so this is a powerful demonstration. So we understand now, the apparatus through which we exercise thinking, will, and reason, understanding, and remembrance. But we actually have to know who made us. We have to return to the source. You see, we have to return to the source of divinity. And this thing goes on further and further, but that's definitely enough at this particular time on that particular portion. However, I will touch on some things as it relates to knowledge. And this goes through the teachings of our 3-step ladder. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is one of them in all actuality. Belief, faith, and fruition, faith, hope, and love. And we understand the degrees, through which one unfolds, man knowing the truth, being the truth, and seeing the truth. And so they explain this also in Grand Quran in 3 degrees in reference to our same 3-step ladder, which they call Ilm al-Yaqeen, Ain al-Yaqeen, and Haq al-Yaqeen. You see? And ilm deals with knowledge. It's a state of knowledge acquired through inference, meaning your own research, your own study. This is the elementary state of knowledge that comes out of experience of causes and inference through logic and intellect. Like how you can infer the presence of fire by seeing smoke. The state of knowledge is exemplified, pardon self, we taking letters off there, in the Holy Quran. But it goes on also when we get into the aspects of Ain al-Yaqeen. This is acquired through the sight. You see, the higher state of knowledge, which deals with subjective experience in nature and laws of nature, and is deduced from the external facts, like how you can deduce and prove the presence of the sun by seeing its rising. You see, Ain al-Yaqeen is the knowledge from the eye of certainty, which is illustrated in the Holy Quran as well. And then there's another one again, Haq al-Yaqeen. This is the state of knowing with perfect, true, absolute certainty. We call this fruition, when man himself becomes the truth. Haq al-Yaqeen is what we call fruition. So you come from a state of belief into a state of faith into a state of fruition. Even when we deal with the soul, the 3 degrees they refer to: Amara, Lawama, Mutmaina, bestiality, consciousness, and felicity. This chorus responds with Haq al-Yaqeen. But it says is the state of knowledge with perfect and true absolute certainty, and this is the highest state of knowledge. So this is what wisdom is speaking from, out of the highest plane of spirit life, which is based on direct experience, taste, rather than by inference or by just looking or observing sight, and is the final highest stage. The Almighty manifests himself in all his glory and with his voice. But if he belongs to those who deny the truth and are steeped in error, then he will be offered boiling water for entertainment and burning hell. This is talking about your passions and your desires. Really, this fact is perfect certainty, and Haq al-Yaqeen is not merely certainty by inference or sight, and therefore glorify the name of your Lord, incomparably great. So I mean, it goes deep, family. It goes deep. And it's a powerful demonstration. We can go on and on, like I say, grand exegesis. But once you understand how fearlessly and marvelously you are made, then you understand what you were endowed with. When we speak on wisdom, you understand how you was enlightened. You understand then how to communicate truth. and so forth and so on. You understand how our ancestor would say, you become a teacher, Saba, a Seba, a one who is able to demonstrate those Sabate teachings, those wisdom instructions. Because wisdom speak from the highest plane again, of spirit life, and that is the highest level that your consciousness can reach. That's why we call Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because that was one of the attributes he came to manifest. El Ali, Aliyat, the high, the most high. That same word can be taken into the Hebrew language, Allah, which deals with the same thing, the most high. All you got to do is look this stuff up. So it's not strange that our holy prophet went through his pilgrimage and obtained that special height, so we can do the same thing because he told us so. You see, if we would like to share power with him. So with that being said, Moorish Ken, that's my special measure. And we're going to open up the floor now so that we can hear from our Moorish Ken and get their drawing as well. Islamism without the schism. Star 6 your phone, Moors. Islam, sister. We can't hear you. You got to speak up a little bit, goddess.
Islam, can you hear me better now?
Oh, we can hear you loud and clear now. Gratitude.
No, gratitude to you, sir. I've heard you've given so much information and so much teaching tonight that I would like for you to refresh the question on the floor for me, please, sir.
Islam, we don't have a question on the floor, sister, but we do have a reference to the chapter, and the chapter is dealing with the holy instructions of unity, but we also are dealing with the special ayat in our chapter dealing with the holy instructions of unity. Hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Hath he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicated to the ignorance for their instruction, communicated to the wise for thine own improvement. That's what our subject matter is dealing with, Islam.
Yes, sir. Sister Cammy in Michigan, I rise, honor, and praise the great God Allah. I honor his Prophet Noble Drew Ali, official citizens, Moors here, there, and everywhere, especially my Moorish kin. The unity with and the instructions from the Prophet that has the ability to unite. The holy instruction from the Prophet, Reverend Noble Drew Ali, if we were all united in following the holy instructions of Prophet, beyond this collective, in the entire territory, America's adjoining islands, then following humanity in one territory of this world has been reclaimed by the Prophet. If it was unity to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the laws of the said government, and if everyone was obeying them and living their lives accordingly within one whole territory, it would more than likely be more than the majority. When you have more than the majority, you can see the progress of the movement, this never-ending movement founded by the Honorable Prophet Noble Ali. The unity within this collective is expanding as things change. The use of technology and the unity that it creates as far as advancements in science and advancements in technology. You have to think about the teachings of the Holy Prophet and how the application of those teachings could make a difference globally to be recognized. The United Nations of the Human Nations of Families, if I'm not mistaken. So we're united in that. What we've accomplished as far as progress in this movement to have documents sent to the United Nations on behalf of this collective, that's something that we've accomplished in the unity in this era of time. Gratitude.
Islam, sister, gratitude for the message. All right, Islam, is there any other more who would like to come forth and give their draw?
Islam.
Islam, we heard a goddess come forth, and then we'll get you, brother. Go ahead, goddess.
Islam, Dr. Dendra Anil Kurtubay. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials, and I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Chief, for this powerful class tonight. I tell you, I thought I was back in the research class tonight. Man, you brought forth, like the God has said, a lot of powerful wisdom and knowledge and nuggets for us tonight. And we are coming from our chapter 48, Holy Instructions of Unity. And your subject was ayah 2. Have he endowed thee with wisdom? And basically, I take that as, the prophet is asking us, have the great God Allah endowed us with wisdom? And then he said, have he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? In other words, when I look at that and I thought about, like I said, you gave such powerful information. And when I think about that, I think about how a prophet told us, he said, I brought you everything. Because see, we didn't know who we were. We didn't know that we was a nation of people. We was ignorant about a lot of things. We were just ignorant about different things, and we didn't know. But the prophet say, I brought you everything. In other words, I brought you the knowledge. I brought you the truth about who you really are. And the question that our chairman always asks us is, who made you? Our prophet told us that. And when you begin to realize who made you, oh man, that makes all the difference in the world. And then it says, communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Then it says, communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. And I love it when you told us about the word ignorant, how some people, and I was the same way. You calling me ignorant? I took it as a negative. But like you were saying tonight, you were saying ignorant mean one who ignore the truth. And I'm like, oh, okay. One who ignores the truth that you bring. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to be ignorant because you are bringing truths. You are bringing the truth here tonight. And so in order for me to be ignorant, then that means I have to ignore what you're telling us. And I'm definitely not going to ignore what you have put out here tonight from the highest plane. From us, you have spoken wisdom from the highest plane of spirit light. And it behooves me to take heed to all what you have said tonight. And you also talked about the knowledge, how knowledge means to know. And to know means to apply. And I loved it when you, I hope I'm saying the right, ISM, when you were saying, you broke that down to us and told us how you say that means the nature in Arabic. And you said a whole lot of other things, and I was trying to write, but I couldn't keep up with it. But this has just been such a powerful, enlightening class for me. And gratitude, God, man, because I know we got a lot of more wanting to share. But gratitude, Dr. Shaheed, for all that you do. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing us these teachings, these divine teachings coming from the highest plane of spirit life. So gratitude, God, man. Islam, gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
Islam and gratitude, goddess and queen, for the measure that you brought forth, and peace and love to you as well. And it's a drawing in the Grand Quran where the great God Allah say, Allah the most gracious, it is he who is taught the Quran. It is he who created man, and he has taught him speech and intelligence. And that's humanity as a whole. And how did he teach us? By putting them faculties in us. That's right. It's according to our nature, goddess and queen. We give honors to everything you brought, and all we have to do is know ourselves and know our true nature, not the physical, but our spiritual being, as they call it, taqwim, mold, symmetry, constitution. So Islam, okay, who is the brother trying to get in there? Islam for the goddess and queen. Are you still there?
Islam, Moorish America, Islam, Dr. Shadow Amenti, that's Assistant Grand Chief of Moorish America, Islam family. Dr. Kepler, Anubis Rasul Bey, National Assistant Grand Chairman, giving rise and praise to the great God Allah and honor to our Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us everything that it takes to save us a nation, Islam. And now let us take it and save ourselves. Give honor to our Moorish American government, our grand national flag, emblem, and seal, divine constitution, and bylaws of Moorish America. Islam, Islam, Islam. Another grand Moorish perspective, sponsored by our Moorish American government, brought forth by our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Islam. And, as you were speaking, Grand Man, when you talked about how the Prophet speaks about soul plane and sharing the power, it made me think about, very briefly, Sultan Abdul Aziz Abu Saud, Suad, and to know that he too was also a part of a movement as well when he come on and manifest. And it was the Sultan Abdul Aziz who actually gave, our Prophet Noble Drew Ali his high name, and he was able to bring Islam back to us. You know what I'm saying? That we can know who made us, and that we can actually be here this very day, learning these lessons. Our lessons well brought forth by our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam. And when we look at Islamism, and as you was breaking down the ism being the attributes, even the ism, the ISM, this is dealing with the five, and this is our nature. This is what panism. Well, during that time of Sultan Abdul Aziz, he was talking about pan-Islamism, and this pan-Islamism was dealing with the total existence, the totality of the great God and man is one, because we know that, of course, dealing with, as you also, I think you spoke about how we know how even Morocco, of course, enslaving their mothers and their fathers, with the mistreatments, and also Islam, losing, them not upholding the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, these attributes that come natural to the great thought of the great God Allah, which is the man, spirit man. However, now they talk about the five pillars of faith. So basically when I'm speaking about the pan-Islamism, this is why our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, came in divine time, and this is why everything, when you talk about that word divinity, I can see the divinity in our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, in his special journey, and completing his Hajj and giving the high name El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, and also looking at pan-Islamism, what is truly meant, to be the totality of Islam, knowing that the great God and man are one, and our Prophet, receiving his high name, and coming back here to America to raise us up from that dead level and to get us out of ignorance. So it took that power from on high, also through Sultan Abdul Aziz, to also bring forth his power, because we know that he was the king of Saudi Arabia. After the conquest of pan-Islamism, in his caliphate, he was also a caliphate. So our prophet brought that back to us, and now we're able to also be the vicegerents. We also were able to be the caliphate here on these shores in our Moorish American government, Islamism, Dr. Schism. Grand class. Peace and love.
Islam. Gratitude for the measure, brother. Islam. I think I heard somebody else trying to get in there. Who was that other Moor trying to get in when that brother came in?
Islam?
Islam. That's you, brother Marvin Edwards Bay?
Yes, hold on. Let me, you got the phone.
Okay.
Gratitude. Yes, this is Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay on the Texas consulate. Rising. Can you hear me well, sir?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you good, brother. All is well.
Oh, well, gratitude. Yes, rising. Giving all praise to the great God of Allah. Giving the highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Act 1. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honor to this class, this Moorish Perspectives class, as well as I give honor to you. Dr. Shedu Amitri, I'm going to hit the steps well, better known as Commissioner Deb Harrison online, and also our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America. I give honor to all those that aided in bringing forth this class this evening. I give honor to everything that is Moorish. Our divine flag, our divine constitution, our divine emblem, all of our enzymes that the prophet brought. I give honor to, everything that is Moorish. And I give honor to all those that gave their message before me, and all that will give their message after me. And this is a very powerful class. You speak of has he endowed thee with wisdom? Which ayat was you coming from, God, man?
That would be Ayat 2 in our chapter on the holy instructions of unity. Hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Yes, sir. Hath he enlightened thy mind? And so forth and so on.
Gratitude. And I just want to bear witness that, you brought forth everything that a Moor needs to know. I mean, of course, it comes in degrees, but you brought us the basics. I mean, you taught us how Allah has put within us, within each and every one of us. You know what I mean? Say we don't know, but if we are open to listen, to hear, and I think that everyone that within the sound of my voice is here to learn. And so that's what it's all about. We need to want to seek the truth. You know what I mean? When we can seek the truth, then we have an opportunity to gain the truth. But if we're going to fight it, you know what I mean? But of course, we have all kind of issues within ourselves because, as the God is speaking about, we have been brought down to become a people that not for progress. You know what I mean? We're not striving to unite with our brothers and sisters. We have been caught out, so to speak. You know what I mean? We've been caught up in backbiting, but the prophet brought us everything to solve those issues. You know what I mean? He taught us to purify our hearts and minds and our constitution. If everyone could get a copy of the divine constitution of Moorish America, we could solve a lot of problems with that. You know what I mean? If each one of us can understand our 5 high principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are simple things that we can do. You know what I mean? But as long as we have that high ego, not the high ego, but just that ego that always want to, misdirect us. You know what I mean? Want to tie us to this physical. So the point of it is, when we're here in the physical, because that's what the great God wanted. You know what I mean? But while we are here, we have certain duties, certain responsibilities, as we had in classes earlier this week, that we have to do. And we won't know how to do it if he didn't send us a prophet. This is from the great God. You know what I mean? We have to come to understanding that the great God loves us. You know, our brothers in the church, they purport all this love and all of this, but I think they kind of misdirected it. Not just the bad stuff, but we're talking reality. You know what I mean? If I only love my brother and not all brothers, you know what I'm saying? You know, something's wrong with that picture. Because the prophet brought us everything to save us as a nation of people. And we here in North America, we are the ones that's going to save the world. You know what I mean? I know for some it may sound far-fetched because you haven't been here long enough to understand. But as we study, the prophet teaches us to study the self. And within the self is everything. Everything that's within us is outside of us in all actuality. But everything comes from within, comes from the spirit. Great God of God put it, the spirit. He put the seed of life, but it wasn't unfolded yet. So this is what we're about, unfolding to that which we were created to be. And, you know, you talk about how that Khalif, all of that is in there. That's that seed that when properly, taken care of, so to speak, properly fed, you know what I mean? And we feed from knowledge, wisdom. And of course, wisdom comes from the highest plane of spirit life. So, but we have to purify our hearts and minds. You know what I mean? We have to get rid of all those things that we have been bogged down with. We have been, because we were put in slavery. We came through slavery. You know what I mean? If one don't want to admit that, or don't want to face that, which many of us don't, and I've come through that. I didn't want to hear anything about coming through slavery. And when I see something that reminds me of slavery, I want to close my eyes, so to speak. You know what I mean? I want to turn my back on it. But then again, the only way out of the fire is through the fire. And so this is what we're about. We're about educating ourselves, you know what I mean, so that we can take advantage of what the great God put in us, so that we can do the job, so that we can be about our Father's business. And you broke it down. You said a whole lot of things that were so powerful, you know, and one was just listen, you know. And then when we listen, then the truth will make us free. You know what I mean? If we get enough of the truth, then we can be free. You know what I mean? And we come to realize that we're in charge of this stuff. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, it just really, you cover so much, and there's really so much to be said, and we ain't definitely won't be said in this one sentence. But if we can don't come out with anything else, just know that we can be that color. I mean, the prophet gave us a blueprint, as God was speaking last night. You know, he gave us an outline of what to do. Study. Be like the prophet. You know, and you talked about that because one want to dress like the prophet and what have you. Nothing wrong with that. But the prophet exhibited honesty, truth, you know, intelligence, wisdom. These are the things that we want to truly be like the prophet. You know what I mean? So that we can go into understanding and be of service to man. All right. That's what I like to say, God, man. Gratitude for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace. Powerful class.
Gratitude, Islam and peace, brother. Yeah, that's the new paradigm shift. You know, the paradigm shift is to speak more on the divinity, you know, and let everything else pretty much be sorted out by the ancestors. You know, and we gonna be all right. All right. Islam, we give honors to you, grand man. All right. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and give their mention?
Islam.
Islam, brother Muhammad Bey.
Gratitude, grand man. Islam, yes. I am Dr. Gerald Hamid Muhammad Bey, Consul General of the South Carolina Consulate. First, let me rise in praise of our Father God, Allah, who is the best known arranger of all things, and give the highest honors to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to our Moorish American government, our Moorish American nation, our grand national seal, our grand national emblem, and our grand national flag. I want to give honors to this theocratic government in which we all live and can live. I want to give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws. I want to give honors to Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., the forerunner to our beloved prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to all of our Moorish kin, all of our visitors, student ministers, angels, executive rulers, everyone on this grand presentation on the Morris Prospectus live study session and conference call. And I want to give honors to those that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. And I want to give honors to absolutely everything Moorish. And of course, always giving much honor, love, and respect to you, Dr. Shedu Aminti El Muhajid Shepsu El, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Master Teacher. We love you, Grand Man, for all that you do, standing firm on that front line. Gratitude. We appreciate you more than words can express. Grand class as always. Brother, you're always emptying your cup. You know what I mean? And be a lot in that cup. Praise Allah for that, though. Praise Allah. When listening and thinking about the ayat, says, He hath endowed thee with wisdom. Hath He endowed thee with wisdom? Hath He enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of the truth? So this took me right back to the first ayat, Grand Man, because the first thing that we're being told and instructed is that the gift of the understanding are of the treasures of Allah. And He appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seemeth good unto himself. So the first thing I thought about, when the prophet said, I have brought you everything. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came and he told us, I brought you everything you need to free yourselves, to free ourselves as a nation of people. Now, take it and free ourselves. So in that statement, that is a divine seed when we look at these two verses, because, there's and I'm paraphrasing here, in the Passion record, which they call the Bible or the New Testament, I believe it's in the book of Romans, around about the 3rd or 4th verse. And the great God is saying that He has given unto each and every one a degree of faith. Wow, that's really unique, right? Because see, no one can say that they don't have that faith. And according to Moorish science, right, faith is what they know to be the truth. And when you actually encounter people, especially our people, each and every one of them have a certain degree of that knowledge of the truth that they know. But that we know that, look, there's more to it than that. So that means that when the prophet came and said that he, right, brought us everything that we need to free ourselves, that seed was to activate that degree of faith, right, in the soil of the soul, when we're talking about that thinking, that understanding, that reasoning, that will, and that remembrance, which you touched on. See, that seed is to activate that divine memory, that divine seed of the memory within each and every one of us, so that we can begin to unfold and manifest the true nature, our God nature, that our Father God, Allah, made us. We know that's the first question. Who made you? Allah. So that, what the prophet brought, the first thing was what? to connect us back to our God. Then it goes on, right? When it talks about the wisdom and everything, again in the Piscean record, it tells, right? It says, I think it's in Proverbs. Okay, I'm not absolutely sure more. I'm refreshing my mind on things. I think it's Proverbs somewhere around about chapter 4. And again, divine instructions. Seek ye wisdom, get thee wisdom, but above all, get thee understanding. You see, because we can't have wisdom without understanding. We can't have understanding without knowledge. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, every word that he spoke, every word that he speaks, because his voice is still alive. He's still present within the spirit of his teachings. His spirit is there. So every word that he speaks is spirit. And that is the knowledge, right, that will lead to the understanding of the self. That enables us to be able to, when it talked about truth here, right, to be able to distinguish the truth from the falsehood, first and foremost within ourselves. And then once we begin able to see, right, the distinction between the truth and the falsehood within ourselves, then naturally we can begin to look out and be able to make that distinction, to be able to analyze, right, the truth from the falsehood in the everyday life that we live in. So this is a grand magnanimous class, because we know that the heart and the soul of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom is what? It's truth. And we know that it's truth that will make us free. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the seventh angel, Revelations 10, who came with the 7 seals. He opened the 7 seals and he revealed all truth. But at the time that he came, right, the minds and conceptions or comprehension of our people wasn't ready. But the prophet put another word out there to let us know. But this is a new era of time now. Now. See, so he knew that as time came on during the era of Ali, the age of Khunnam, which the Europeans call Aquarius, that our minds would be able to open up. And there will come a time when more and more of our people would be able to receive and understand what it was that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought. And that's the time we're living in right now. And you, grand man, and all of the Moors on the front line that are keeping the prophet out front through his teachings, that is what we are doing. We present these seeds, these divine seeds, these divine lessons and teachings, and they are planted or cast into the soil of the souls of our people, because everything starts with the thought. To get our people to think, because that's, again, the prophet said, if I can just get Gerald to thinking, if he could just get me to thinking, I would save myself. So that applies to me, that applies to each and every one of us, because this is a part of the salvation that our great God of the universe manifested on this plane of existence through Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Gratitude, grand man. Thanks for letting me share. Peace and love, grand man. Grand class.
Islam. Gratitude for that special drawing, brother. And yeah, you know, the simplicity of the measure is definitely in the fact that truth and falsehood is in relevance to the measure where we was talking about that Khalifa. The truth is the Khalifa, spirit man that was placed in the earth, and the falsehood is that Iblis, you know, who refused to, we say, fall down into obeisance or submission to the higher state of consciousness. So we will find the angels manifested there and man himself, and we give honors to the measure. The gratitude, praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. We heard another brother trying to get in there. We're going to let that brother draw. Then we're going to go to the officials. Islam, who was the other more trying to get in there when Muhammad Bey got here?
That was our master. This is Dr. Shabakman Bey Mo.
Islam, Grand Man.
Islam, Grand Man. I want to rise up and give praise to Allah and give highest honors to His Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and highest honors to our national government, our flags, emblem seals, and of course, Act One. If you're definitely a wow, man. And honest to whom the honest that you don't already gave. Let me just say that right there. I want to say this here to you. I know my prophet when I hear him. I know him when I hear him. And I thought about what you was teaching tonight. And it's a very, very powerful measure what you was teaching. So I know who you are. Because, you know, you spoke about this transformation and this, you know, what the language is not a human language, it's another type of language, but it's a human move. It's not a human movement. I can't really explain it. But I want to say to you, you proved to me tonight who you is. Because I felt my prophet through you tonight. I really did. And I want you to know, you know, I didn't really think like I'm thinking right now, but I see the power. And when I say that I see the power, I know that you with the prophet. You can't move no people like that, what you moved in me, unless you got to be with the prophet Noble Drew Ali, Mo. And I just want to say, you know, it'll do, you know, the words you use, and I'll leave you with, you say, for guidance. You know, I didn't really look at you as for guidance. You know, because, you know, that arrogance get in the way. You know, you shorter than I am, all that old stuff like that. But that right there, what you showed me tonight, Mo, you showed it, Mo. I only thing I can say is praise Allah. You know, praise Allah, Mo. And I'm just going to be trying to understand and accept the guidance that you getting out here, Mo. Islam.
Islam, Allah's leading on and victory is sure. Gratitude. We give honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali for all of his right guidance that he has given us. Islam. All right. At this time, let us call forth our officials. And we'll start by calling forth the sister, goddess and queen, Sister Alceta Moonel. Islam. You there, goddess?
Islam.
Islam, Brother Muhammad.
The goddess is unavailable at this time, Grand Man. Praise Allah.
Islam. Praise be to Allah. Islamism. All is well. All right. Well, let us call forth gratitude. Well, let us call forth our national Grand Mufti, Dr. Khonshu Mark Heru Bey. Islam. You there, Grand Man?
Islam National Sister Grand Sheikh, our National Grand Mufti, is on a mission at this time. Gratitude.
Islam. Praise be to Allah. Gratitude. Honors to the tribe. All right. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of State, Sister Shepsut Rakat Ma'at Anpu Tutankhamen Bey. Islam. You there, goddess and queen?
Close to the thought. Gratitude.
Islam. Gratitude.
Islam. Islam warriors can, first of all, want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, Swift angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin, giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me, giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedu Amenti El Mohamed Shepsuel, for opening our meeting according to law, also for this Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Giving honor to our National Brand Secretary, State of Indiana, Dr. Sayanati Nuhet Haru El, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Our subject, coming from Ayat 2, He hath endowed thee with wisdom. He hath enlightened
enlighten thy mind with the knowledge of truth. Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. Dr. Shaheed, this was, as always, a very powerful class. Much gratitude to you, more. There were several keys that you brought forth, and a few I want to touch on. When you came forth with unity, starts in the consciousness of the self, and then goes abroad. That is so key because, you know, we recognize the fact of what a demarcated thought pattern has done to us, not only as individuals, but also to us as a people. And this is why the prophet made a must, as far as all Moorish Americans must learn how to love instead of hate. And in that love divine is that oneness of thought. This is what helps maintain and sustain a nation, you know, that self-determination recognizes the need for us as a people under our one free national name. And also, another grand aspect was dealing with the government of self-mastery. And when you look at the government of anything dealing with the study of the self and maintaining your higher self, that's your authority, your leadership, your ministry of divinity, you as being executive ruler. And we see all of this where in our chapter 1, where it speaks about the vicegerent here on this special plane, and us being the Lord not only of the plane of things made manifest, but the plane of soul. When we look at the master word that you gave us, aha, dealing with covenant, you know, the unity between man and creator, man and man, dealing with friendships and nations and things of that nature, we see how everything pivots around that oneness, or as our National Grand Chief speaks about, the you and I tie. And when you were speaking about Adam debasing himself or falling from grace, we have all experienced that drop down to that lower nature or that carnal aspect. But the thing about it is, recognizing the fact that Allah is a merciful God. He's a compassionate God. And once we recognize the fact that that a special weakness has occurred or that we have erred in our thoughts, then it's our duty dealing with that level of self-mastery to make a speedy reparation, you know, recognizing the fact that Allah knows the heart. And the other paradigm shift was when you were speaking about one being endowed with wisdom or enlightenment. And it is a fact of dealing with that action of the soul of remembrance, how we already have within us the love divine, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But we've got to remember who it is that we are and our connection to the source of divinity, our creator. So we don't have to learn this. We just have to unfold and come into the consciousness of it. That was very powerful because too often, again, you know, we bring in with dealing with the mental slavery aspect, still clinging on to these chains, thinking that, you know, I definitely can't be perfect. It's no way, you know, and things of that nature where we are still constantly limiting ourselves or pulling ourselves away from the Creator as dealing with the debasement in thought. And the last measure was in reference to that Khalifa. And when you brought forth the demonstration of being the successor or the vicegerent, one who inherits or comes after or stands in the place of, one who judges and rules under Allah's command. And it just had me reflect on our Moorish American government, our theocratic government, how in our government, the Prophet instructs us that all are one and equal to seek their own destiny. You know, so this is just a grand measure because it takes us back to our connection with the Creator and why it is imperative for us to step up and take our place not only in the affairs of men, but coming from the spiritual aspect of being the God, being the ruler, okay, being the vicegerent. You know, so much gratitude to you, Dr. Shaheed, for these grand keys and these grand messages that you brought forth. Grand class. Unity is key. Peace and love.
Islam In gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State, for that measure. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. But let's call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Acton, Pert M. Heru, Tutankhamun Bey. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
Come to the top.
Islam.
Don't give praise to Allah and honor Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And send much honor to Noble Drew Ali for bringing us, his North American nationals, everything that we needed, everything that it takes to save a nation. He brought us our own government, our own flag, divine constitution and bylaws, our own history, culture, family of nations, everything for the future. Oh man, it's Moors, we are so honored, so blessed that to know that we now have our way home. And that we don't have to come up lost like NBC's. It's just a matter of counting your blessings. Now you've got a purpose for your children, for your future. You now have a purpose for your nation, your government. You now can fulfill the meaning of the divinity of your constitutional laws, your flag, your Grand National seal, Grand National emblem. You now got everything is here, Moors. We are so blessed, so honored that we can now take our place in the affairs of man. So it's an honor to bless the Moors. We just love you. Islam is without a schism. Peace and blessings.
And Islam for the measure, Chairman. Gratitude. Islam. All right. Let us call forth our national Grand Sheikh, Dr. Serapis Amin Raya. Islam. You there, Sheikh?
Islam. Sheikh. Give honors to you and highest honors.
Muted.
Brother Pope. Everything he brought and everyone he taught. Brother Man Prophet Noble Drew Ali. First of all, let us give our Father highest honors, praise, adoration, thanksgiving, and glory to all the Moors who spoke the season, giving us brand new concept about who we are, the depth of our nation, and the star that shines bright in the center of our nation. Praise Allah for all of you who shine most definitely both day and night, and that good shining star that hovers over the earth land on which the Lord that God Allah has given thee is the one that shines bright and gives one a drawing both day and night, and gives one lawful wisdom and understanding, and the fact that these ones are not the flesh nor the body. These ones move in the sense of spirit from the everlasting of the past to the many days to come. And these ones bring forth the ordinances of Allah and the quickening of the soul and how we move on the earth land and give out lessons that we receive a blessing. But that's the only way we can receive the lesson is receive the blessing. And everyone that is with us rise high above the finish line. What better man does better things only to give praise, adoration, and thanksgiving and glory to Allah, give wanted to tell our story. And we tell our story by telling his story. His story is the story of our people. And we're just glad that we're able to demonstrate this grand demonstrations to put on the manifest this evening, as always. And we definitely give one's drawing where we could move in the signs, the thoughtless thought, the rootless root from which all things unfold. And we give praise to Allah for giving us the ability to see beyond the realm of the soul, but yet still recognize that which we glow. Praise Allah. Islam. January 15, 1929, the warning from the prophet read in every meeting. And everybody inform all citizens who listen on radical agitated speeches while working only on the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop blasting your cars of Europeans and cause confusion. Remember your cars for your salvation. Faith with ladies always reveals severe consequences. We often love truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. And its citizens or group of citizens are open towards the government of violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement. They receive their rewards from the law for their unjust deeds. True Moors will let us obey the laws laid out for them by their prophet. They lose confidence in their prophet. They should turn in their card and button since when the Germany affairs were judges to stay where the prophet found you. This is the only divine movement founded by the prophet to the will of Allah to redeem us from the 7 ways of all the prophet. Number 2, Ali. This divine warning is supreme laws now will be enforced by the said government hereby. And hereby inform all citizens and on radical agitated species while working on the street. We have to teach blood, truth, peace, and justice, and let it the proofs of Allah abide with us both day and night. Islam, Islam, Islam. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care. Rest one mother has given you son. To bonds of affection, therefore unite thee with thy brothers and peace and happiness that dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separated the world, remember the relation of fighting you to love and unity. For that was strange for the whole blood. If thy brothers in adversity assist him, if thy sisters in trouble forsake us not, so send the forces of our Father contribute to support this whole race and this care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially closed according to Act 2 of the divine constitution and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Go in peace, Moors. Much love to you, Moors. Islam. Long live Moors. Islam.
Unmuted.
Great praise. Great praise.
Great plan.
Don't forget to pay your dues, boys. Don't forget to pay your dues. Get ready for it.
Moors.
Great praise. Next
Peace and love, Moors. Allah's leading and victory is sure.
Peace and love.
Islam.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Gratitude. We want to give honors to all of our Moorish kin and honors to all the Moors who showed up.
Glad.
Yes, sir. The prophet is leading. Islam. All right.
Goodbye.
We love you, Moorish kin, for showing up out there in the YouTube world as well. And we look forward to hearing from you again. So gratitude, peace, love, and law at all costs. Islamism without the schism. And stay blessed. Peace.